Welcome to another lost railway town. This is Brackley. We're in Northamptonshire.
Yep.
Population of 16,000 people. Just rush through this quickly because it's about to hammer it down. Industries, it's famous for its textiles. Wool was the other one, and lace trade.
Yeah.
That's where you come for if you want a bit of lace,
Yeah,
Jim.
like a bit of lace.
It's not too far from Silverstone, so it's got a motor racing pedigree. And Mercedes Formula One team's actually based in Brackley, just out by the ring road, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So the railways arrived in Brackley in 1850. It was a Buckinghamshire Railways, Buckingham and Brackley Junction line. And there's nothing really left to show you of the station or the area. But all this area was railway land, and the railway line, I suppose, was stood right, if this map's to be believed, stood kind of right in the station here. We had the goods shed. See, we're just over here, Jim.
That building there, World Time, Ox 7, that was the goods shed here. It was on that site.
Obviously not now, but that's where it was. And that was operated by the London North Western Railway. Now, we refer to it as Brackley Town Station, but for 100 years it was known simply as Brackley until 1950, when it became Brackley Town. Now, ironically, there's no railway station, but we do have the police station, and then you'll see just in front here the fire station. And the line, just leaving the station here, just literally just dissected the corner of the fire station here. And this is, wasn't road, it's Oxford Road. Now this road's been realigned since the railway closed, but we did have Oxford Road. It would originally crossed via a bridge, just over there, just where that person's clambering up the embankment. I wonder if that is the actual old railway embankment there, Jim.
Is that the railway through there?
Yeah, well, we're kind of standing exactly here on the track bed.
Oh, right, okay.
Just coming across the corner. It's to ignore this road.
Yeah.
Because the road was slightly just realigned. I'm assuming just in front of that building there.
To the right of that red car, I think that's where the alignment is. You look, there's a gap there, isn't there?
Let's go and investigate, shall we?
Shall do.
And that's looking back to the station just down there. Look, you see the fire station just at the end of the road. And look, and there's the track bed, look. We just walk through here. It's now being turned into like a linear park, or a pocket park, I think they call this one. I don't think there's anything to see down here, Jim, but it's nice to see a little bit of track bed. When we do these type of things, I love the little details that you see on the maps. And just off the station there, we had a little branch line, a little private line up to a brewery. There was nothing remaining of the brewery or the line. I'm just going to show you where that went. And I believe here is where our little brewery branch line, it's called the Barrel. I think it's known locally as the Barrel line. Now, the railway station's just behind here. I'll show you on the map, and I'll explain a little bit more in a moment. But it went up here. So straight through here, look. And this was horse-drawn up. So it was quite a bit of an incline. I can see it start to climb in front, actually. And it was gravity down and gravity back down to the goods shed and the station behind us there. Now, if you look at the maps, you can see that this brewery line is actually at a right angle to the main, to the railway, the main line. The trucks were brought down and they were turned that 90 degree via a turntable. And you can quite clearly see all this on the map. What was the brewery here? Hopkins and Norris Brewery. That's not heard of that one before. Now this fell out of use in around 1920. There we go, straight up there, look, Old Brewery Walk. But look at this incline, this is such a gradient. And just a reminder, this never progressed past horse-drawn, so I'm assuming the horses would have been hauling the empties up the hill. And then obviously the loaded wagons from the brewery, gravity down to the bottom. In 1899, the Great Central Railway arrived in Brackley. And that was their London extension from Sheffield. We're no strangers to this. We've done the GCR in so many locations up and down the country. It was quite a decent size, an intermediate station, shall we say, on the line. I won't go into too much on this because we've done a separate video on this as part of the ghosts of the GCR that will be out a bit later, possibly early next year. It was Brackley GCR station. It was an island platform, and it sat in this cutting look. And there's the platform side of the old station building. So you'd access the top floor there. We'll take you up and show you that. But the entrance was on the top floor at road level, and then you came down to platform level on the bottom. About the same size as Rugby, I believe. So there's the view just looking over the station. So it had an island platform, I suppose roughly not far off from where that shunter's positioned. And it was accessed. Can you see that the arch on the top level there? You access the island platform from a footbridge from that arch over to the platform. And as I say, the entrance way was at the top. Now, if we look back at those early maps from around the time that the GCR was opened, there wasn't really much around here in the way of urbanisation. In fact, when the railway arrived, I think the population was only about 2,500 people. I think it's about 16,000 these days. Here's the frontage for Brackley's Great Central Station. Look, I don't know if it's used these days. It was a tyre place at one point. It's been a cafe very recently. And it's closed in 1966, so in the space of a handful of years, Brackley went from having 2 railways and 2 stations to not having a railway at all. And that other station that we saw earlier, that was referred to as the bottom station. So it's at the bottom of the town. And this one is just referred to as the top station. What a random place, Jim, to find a bunch of goats.
I know, can't believe it.
This is the old, it says the engine shed.
I know
Jim.
it does, yeah. And I refer to it as the engine shed in one of my previous posts. And I got the gates of hell opened on me.
Really?
Because, you know, it's not, it's a good shed, it's not an engine shed.
It's a good shed.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe engine shed sounded a little bit more marketable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've got one in Lincoln called the engine shed, and it's a good shed.
I've been there, I've been to concerts.
Oh, you've been to concerts there, yeah, right, okay.
In the university, yeah.
HS2, or should I say that eventually to be fast line between London and Birmingham, will run very close to the north-east of the town. The linear scar very visible on overhead maps, as well as the mess as you drive in from Towcester on the A43. Now, from a future major railway infrastructure project to one from the past and back to the GCR, upon leaving Brackley, to the south stood Brackley Viaduct, which spanned 255 yards across the Ouse Valley. We'll be having an episode from our series Ghosts of the GCR, specifically dedicated to this viaduct, and that'll be out early next year.
I know, it's absolutely solid. But they just left this here.
Just as we're finishing up, we're wrapping up filming for today.
Pouring down.
Cheers, Jim.
All right, pleasure.
We've been filming more than just Brackley, lots of railway towns.
Yeah, yeah, we've been really busy today.
GCR stuff, so always enjoyable to be out with Jim.
Yeah.
So cheers for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra.